The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's role play session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our role-play session here. I hope that you're all ready to volunteer to do some role-playing with me. Couple little things before we get started. First of all, it was awesome to see so many of you in Toronto this past weekend. We had our Toronto Super Conference and our Platinum event at the same time. So a lot of you were up for the Platinum event, and it was fantastic. It was really great to see everybody, and we had some outstanding sessions. So for those of you who didn't attend, don't miss Anaheim, that's for sure. All the Platinum breakout sessions that are for all of the coaching students is an absolute must attend, and no one ever regrets doing it. So make sure, if you haven't already confirmed your attendance in Anaheim, make sure you do. Remember, there's no, it's not like there's any additional cost to it or anything like that. This is for you, and it will make you better. So again, make sure that we know that you're coming. Okay, now the next thing is, tomorrow's our ad clinic, and so we need to look at some ads. Any ads that you have, we'd like to see them, regardless of whether they're working really well, moderately well, or not well at all. We want to take a look at the ads. Upload the ads to the ad clinic tomorrow, and Craig and Todd, I believe Todd is going to come on there with Craig, and the two of them are going to look at your ads and critique them, make them better. Regardless of how good they may already be, perhaps they could be even better, but we need to see them in order for that to happen. And so it's easy to do that. I know that most of you have uploaded ads before, but this is what I would ask especially. When you send in the ad, it would be great to have a little bit of background as to where the ad ran, what it cost, and what kind of results you got from the ad. That's really, really helpful to have that information as well. So if you can, then do that. If you can't, well, you can't. But if you can, that would be really great to have that information as well. And if you can't figure out how to include that when you upload the ad, then tomorrow on the ad clinic session, you can just type it into the chat. When your ad appears, you can type into the chat those details for Craig and Todd. That would be great. Okay, now, today's our role play session. So we're going to talk about lead conversion, and we're going to talk about the universal script, and we're going to get better and better and better because we're practicing. So here's what we're going to do. With the time that we have, we're going to just do role play after role play after role play with as many volunteers as time permits. I also want you to know, though, that any of your follow-up related questions can also be asked by typing them into the chat as well. And then Andrea, from time to time, will read out some of those questions, and hopefully by the end, we'll have taken care of everybody. Oh, one other thing. Next week on our role play session and our ad clinic session, we're going to have a brand new group of coaching members who are brand new. So that means that what we're going to do just for one webinar is we're going to revisit the basic foundation of the system. All right, which is good for everybody to come on and review. So on Thursday, when we do our role-playing session next week, I'm going to detail the universal callback script, the introduction, the qualifying questions, and the offers, and we're going to revisit the basic foundation of how the script works. So is it review? Yes. Would it be good for you to hear that? Without a doubt. It's really, really helpful to hear that. So make sure that you come on next Thursday. I just want you to understand the reason that we're doing that. And the same is true with the ad clinic. Next Friday, you don't need to send in your ads. We're going to look at ads that we already have that are very, very successful and use those as templates and models to copy after, so that all of those brand new starting in the coaching program can get a handle on where we want them to start. So, but it would be really good for everybody to come on and revisit the basic foundation of the system. Okay, now, having said that, Andrea, I know Craig is going to be joining us momentarily, but we won't wait for him. Let's get started right away, and let's take some volunteers.
Hey, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and click the little hand icon if you have a working mic or you're on the telephone, or you can type in the chat box, "I'd like to role play." Our first guest, Harry Bing, your mic is now open.
Good morning. I'd like to do a role play for, I've been mailing out some absentee property owner cards. All of the owners are from out of the state of Florida.
Okay,
And the
what's the offer that
property's
you're
all
making?
located right here in Central Florida.
And what is the offer that you're making in the letter?
I'm making an offer to that I have buyers, and they can click on a link and get the price for their home. They can click on the link and get a price for the home,
Okay, so
or they can call me and get a conversation and a consultation.
so
No charge.
when you say click on the link, they're really, I mean, if it's a letter, they're not clicking on a link in a letter.
Right.
They're logging onto that domain name.
Right, logging onto the domain name, which is viewmyprice.com,
Okay.
and they can get an instant market analysis, or they can call me. My number's on there in several different
Okay, so
places.
this is 100% branded. When you're sending this mail piece out, this is a branded mail piece.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, so
It's modeled after Tracy King.
okay, so I responded, and I went onto the website, and I received the area home sales report, or whatever it is that's sent to me, and now
Okay.
you're calling me back. So ring. Hello?
Hello, yes, this is Harry Bing with Remax 200 Realty, and the reason I'm giving you a call, Mr. Smith, is you have requested a market analysis on your home down here in Orlando, Florida, and I've sent that in the email to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks. I got that.
Yeah. Are you folks planning on making a move on that property in the next 3 to 6 months?
We were thinking about it depending on the value. That's really what is our deciding factor. I mean, obviously we don't live in the property, so it's something we've been thinking about.
Okay. Do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
You know what? We've worked with a couple of agents. The agent that helped us purchase the property in the first place. And actually there's a couple of other agents that we've done business with before as well.
Okay. Well, this is what I like to do for you. Is I like to go out and visit the property. In addition to that, I like to do a free market analysis to determine in more greater detail what the home would sell for. And I can also give you some tips on what to do and what not to do so you can sell the house for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And then I can send you some information from the title company on what the various closing costs will be. It's a free of charge service and obligates you to nothing. Does that sound like that might be helpful in helping you to make a decision?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, can you tell me how I can get access to the property? Would Friday evening be okay?
Yeah, we've got some. We've got actually my nephew's living in the property right now. He rents the property right now, so I'll just have to give him a call and set up a time with him, and then I'll give you a call back and let you know what we figured out.
Okay, sounds good, Mr. Smith. If I haven't heard from you by Saturday, I'll give you another call. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's stop and revisit this for a second here. I would like you to actually go through some of the qualifying questions, okay? Because what you want to determine is what my motivation is. In other words, you're trying to figure out how good I am, and you didn't. Like you have no idea how good I am as a prospect. Like, what if I said this? Well, if the property's worth over $300,000, then I would sell it, because then I would be able to get some money, make some money on this property. Then I would do it. And you're looking at the comps, and this place is barely worth $250, right? In other words, you've got to ask the questions to figure out my motivation.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you skipped all that. And all you ask me is, are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? Yeah, well, sure. If I get an unrealistic price for it, yeah, I would think about it. And then, boom, that was it. See, here's what you've got to figure out is asking questions like, if you were to sell the property, would you be considering buying another investment property down here? Like, isn't that a good question?
Yes, it is.
Or how long have you owned this, owned your investment property? Just try to get an idea of, like, what are they looking to do? Was this successful? Do they have others? Do you own other investment properties? Have you considered moving down here? Or, where they live at this point. Maybe they live, I don't know, somewhere at a state. But we've got to ask them questions because we've got to figure out how real they are, this, and now, okay, so let's say that there is motivation there. Here's the real confusion I have. What is going to happen by you going over there and giving them and looking at the property without the owners there, without the sellers there? So now you go ahead and you do that. Okay, so now what? Now how does it work? So you go, let's say that it's tomorrow evening, you went over there, you did the evaluation, and now what? Now you call me, and what happens?
Okay, so should I always wait for the owner to be in town because these people are out of state?
Right, but I mean, I think that would show motivation, certainly, right? If you said, well, when when are you planning on coming to the area to to either to spend time or to look at other properties or to get your home on the market? Do you have a timetable to do that? The worst thing they could say is no. That's the worst thing they could say. No, we don't. But it would also speak to their level of motivation as well. See, because I think what you're doing, you're going to make this really hard on yourself. It's going to require a lot of work, and you're working with everyone as if they're equal when they aren't equal. See, here's one of the big problems is that if I own this property as an investment property and you send me an offer to find out what that investment property is worth, even though I have no plans on selling it, I still would respond to your ad because I want to know the value of my investment property. But there's no motivation for me to sell it at all. But I would want to know, yeah, how's my investment doing? Like, I'd like to know that. That would be good for me to know. So I would go onto your website, I'd fill out all the information, I'd give my contact details, I'd hit submit, I'd get all the information I could get. You want to go out and see it? Absolutely, knock yourself out, Harry. You go take a look at that. Report back to me what my investment property is worth. But by the way, I ain't selling it. So I don't want you to do a whole bunch of work for somebody that has no motivation to move. Here's the long and short of it. You've got to ask questions. They don't need to be intrusive, but we've got to ask questions to figure out, is Mr. Smith considering selling this property for real? What is his motivation to sell this property? And if there isn't any motivation, you got to move on. You got to, you got to move, but you got to offer your monthly newsletter, offer them information, and then say, hey, you know what? Down the road, if you're considering selling your home, would it be okay if I followed up with you? Sure, of course, Harry. When would be a good time for me to do that? But otherwise, I mean, you're chasing the hardest of the hard because they're not even in your marketplace. They're out of state, for God's sake. So it becomes even more difficult.
Okay. So let me ask you this.
Anyway, sure.
Would I be out of line to ask at what price would they be willing to sell the property? Is that an out of line question or is that an in line question?
Well, I think it's the way you word it. I think what you'd say is, like this, hey, Harry, do you have a price in mind that if you found the property was worth more than you thought, you'd consider putting it on the market?
Okay.
Isn't that a nice way of asking the question?
Yes,
Harry,
it is.
Hey, Harry, if we could determine that the property was worth more than perhaps you thought, would you consider putting it on the market, or would you allow it to stay on the to gain even more equity over time? Is that something that you've considered? Like, remember, the way Craig designed these questions is they're conversational, and they're very non-threatening questions because they're kind of hypothetical. Harry, if you were to find that your property was worth more than you thought, right? Like, the way that we word questions, it's very, very non-threatening for a reason. That's done very purposely. So, but here's the thing. If we don't ask questions, then we're treating them all as if they're equal, and they're not. We know that some prospects are far more motivated and realistic than others. So asking the questions is critical. I like your phone mannerism, though, and your introduction, and you sound like we're having a conversation as opposed to reading, and that's really, really important. You've just got to adjust what you say.
Okay.
And what you are asking. Thanks so much, Harry, and best of luck. We'll look forward to doing that again.
Our next guest is Raf Commit. Your line is now open. Raf?
Hi, James.
Hello. Hi, Raph. How are you?
How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. What would you like to do today?
Yes, I would just like to role play as a sync buyer.
Okay. So ring. Hello.
Hi, may I speak with James, please?
Yeah, this is James.
Hi, James. My name is Raphael with Remax, and the reason I was calling is because I received your request to search for homes for sale using our property website. And as a courtesy, I'm just calling to let you know that I have given you full access to search away. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. I was on there. I was on there earlier on this morning, actually.
That's right. You're welcome. And I was wondering, James, are you planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Oh, I don't know about that. You know, we're really just looking right now.
Okay. And do you currently rent, or do you own the property you're living in?
No, we rent this property.
Okay. And James, if you were to move, are you planning on staying in the area, or are you moving out of the area?
You know what? We're planning on staying in the area. We really actually like this neighborhood. So you know, we'd prefer something nearby. We like it here.
Okay. And if you were to move, when do you think that might be?
Well, I mean, certainly, you know, within the year. You know, I don't know, to get it done, it would probably take 6 months. You know, I would guess.
Okay, I hear you. And do you already have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
No, not really. We do know a couple realtors, but no one in particular. We're not
Okay.
there yet.
Oh, James, would you like me to email you daily updates of homes that matches your home buying criteria, and not just from real estate companies? Our list would include any bank foreclosures, distress sales, and even homes below market value. And this is a free service, and you're never obligated to buy a home. Would that interest you?
Are those properties on the website?
You know, not necessarily, because the difference between, I mean, I'm not sure what shows on the website, definitely, but my list would include off-market properties.
Your website.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, my list would include great deals like bank-owned homes, foreclosures, and distress sales, homes that aren't on the MLS. So these are different properties apart from what you see on the website, because these website. I mean, the properties on the website are on the market properties. So
I
this
see.
would be different.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yes,
no, I'd like to know about all the properties, especially the ones that come up for sale, you know, around here in the immediate neighborhood, especially.
that's right. And what we're going to do is we're going to be sending a tailor-made search. So that would be, you know, saving you time and money as well. And of course, you're never obligated to buy anything. With when can we get together for about 20 minutes so I can take down exactly what you're looking for? Days, evenings, or weekends?
Um, well, you know, I detailed on your website my property search. It asked me to do that, so I don't know if you saw that, if you got that on your website there, but I did detail all that information there for you, if that makes it easier.
You know what, James? I want to do a good job for you. So I think it's very important for us to do that, and I know it's very important for you too. And rather than email you hundreds of properties that may or may not match your criteria, you know, of course, we don't want to risk missing out on a perfect one. If we could sit down for 20 minutes or less, you know, I can do a good job in determining exactly what you're looking for, and that way we won't, you know, we'll be less likely to miss out on the perfect ones. So would days work or are evenings better?
Probably evenings would be fine.
Okay,
Any
evenings.
evening is good.
Okay. Are you available tonight? You think we could meet together?
Yeah, I could probably do that after 6 o'clock.
Okay, great. And our office address is located just here at Young and Steeles inside of Center Point Mall. Are you familiar with the area?
Yeah.
Great. How's 7 p.m. sound?
Fine.
Okay, great. We're looking forward to meeting you, James. And then again, when we get together, we'll take down your exact home buying criteria. We'll even review some of the homes available in your price range. and we'll set you up to receive your daily updates of all the listings every day. And this is free of charge and no obligation. So I'll send you an email right away regarding a conversation, and we're looking forward to meeting you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Okay,
All
so
right.
here's a couple things I really like. First of all, I would always err on the side of caution. In other words, you're not sure, my timing kind of sounds like it's maybe. Err on the side of caution. There's no harm in making the offer. Because if you make me the offer and I say, yes, that would be helpful, then great, you book the appointment, all's good. If I say, well, you know what, we're probably, we're a long way away from doing something, you can always drop back and make me the newsletter offer to follow up with me. So it's easy to do that. So I really like that. Here's the part that I want to highlight for everybody, though. This was by far the best part. After you book the appointment, I want everyone to notice that you reiterated the benefit of the appointment. Now, is that something that you always do?
Yeah, that's right. Always do that because we had a lot of cancellations before.
Right.
So that's what me and Sound's doing right now.
Yeah, you want to slow down and you want to make sure that they understand the benefit of the appointment. Okay, so we have this appointment. Now, when you come to this appointment, we're going to prepare a list of properties immediately that perfectly match what you're looking for, but we're also going to make sure that we do a really good job of setting you up on the automated search so that as soon as new properties hit the market, they're immediately emailed to you, especially the great deals, the hard to find properties. It's free. There's no obligation. Don't bring your checkbook. We'll see you tomorrow evening. I'm going to send you an email with directions and all of that. Like that is, it's so important that you do that, especially if you're getting no-shows. So yeah, that's a really, really good idea. And you know what? When you're generating leads from Commissions Inc. or anywhere where you're giving them search, access, the way that you differentiate yourself is exactly what was just demonstrated there. You want to focus on the deals. And you know what else you can focus on is this. There's a lag time between when those properties are available and when they're on the website, right? So in other words, I go onto your website and I'm searching for properties. A new property is there. How long has that property been on the market for sale from the time that I find out about it on your Sync website? There's a lag time. So you will know about that property before it's uploaded onto the website, and that's a big advantage as well. But that was really good. Thank you for volunteering. Appreciate that.
I'm here.
Thank you, James.
All right, great. Do I hear
here.
Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor.
Yes, Mr. Proctor is in the building.
That's your dad, Mr. Proctor.
It is. He goes by the same name. How you doing, James?
I'm excellent. How are you? Are you recovered from the Toronto Marathon?
Yes, it is pretty exhausting, but I'm starting to feel like a human being again today, so thank you for asking.
Well, good. That's important. So we're doing some role playing here. As I don't know how long you've been on the webinar here, but we've done some pretty good role plays here so far, and I say we keep going.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, our next guest is Stephen Chen. Your mic is open.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, James? Craig?
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so what would you like to do today, Stephen?
I would like to do the editorial ad that I ran recently on Empty Nester.
Okay, Empty Nester. So you're calling an older prospect, so maybe, Craig, it would be appropriate if you were to take this volunteer for the sake of making it that much more realistic.
Ouch, 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 ouch. Okay. So I'm just going to play myself, the elderly Craig Proctor. Okay, so ring. That's very funny, James. Ring, ring.
Is Craig there?
Yes, he's here. This is Craig.
Hi, Craig. This is Stephen Chen with Keller Williams Realty, and the reason I'm calling is because I received your request for the Empty Nester reports that you wanted, and I have already popped that in the mail to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming from a real estate agent.
Well, yeah, it is, and I just wanted to provide correct information to you. While I have you on the phone, are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Maybe. There's no rush. We're just thinking about it.
Okay. And if you were to move, would you be staying in the same area or move out of the area?
We would want to move into something smaller in this area.
I see. And when do you think that might be?
Why are you asking all these questions? Can't you just send me the information?
Yeah, I have already sent you the information, and
because I told you if there's no rush, and we might move to something smaller, and then you asked me, well, when might this be? So I've already told you that.
Okay. And do you have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
I have a friend that's a realtor.
And would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do
Well,
you want?
Are you going to let that go? What do you care if I'm committed to my friend? Do you really care whether I want to buy first or sell first? There's no use asking that question until you find out whether I'm 100% committed to my friend. So when you ask me, do I have a realtor, and I say, well, I have a friend who's a realtor, what should you say to me?
Are you 100% committed to your friend as a realtor?
Well, I don't know. I probably would want to speak to somebody else, I guess. But, you know, all things equal, I'd rather give the money to my friend.
Okay. Well,
what I'm really saying is I think you guys are all the same, so why not give the money to my friend? So no.
Okay. So that's a you know. I would like to show you what I do differently to help many of my clients to sell their home.
Not quite. What you want to say is you started off what I want, and nobody cares what you want, right? The customer cares what they want. So you shouldn't start off with, well, what I want is this, what I want is that. That's a turn off to the prospect. So in this situation where I say I have a friend, and you say, well, are you 100% committed to using your friend? And I go, well, I don't know about 100% committed. You should say this. Well, Craig, there's a tremendous difference between what real estate agents do and what they charge to get the job done. Do you think you might be open to meeting with me as well? So you're not telling me not to meet with my friend, but you're you know, really saying, are you open-minded to investigating the possibility that other realtors may be able to do more for you than your friend, like, or will charge you a different fee than your friend? So now you're going to find out whether this guy's 100%. Because if he's still 100% committed to his friend, what he's really saying to you is, I'm going to list with my friend, even if you could do a better job, and even if you charge me less money, I'm still going to go with my friend anyway, and at that point, you're done and you move on. However, what I found in my 20-odd years of doing this is that many people that say they have a friend or a relative are not 100% committed. If they say, well, I think I'm just going to go with my friend, then I would say this. I would say, well, look, you certainly can do that. That's your prerogative. You could, not speak to any other realtors, just list with your friend. But you're always going to be wondering, while your house is up for sale with your friend, wouldn't you always be wondering if maybe another realtor could have done more for you? Or maybe another realtor could have done, like, the same job for less, or maybe a better job for less money? So why don't you meet with me? And after you meet with me, if you're not blown away with what we do, then by all means, go list with your friend, and you'll feel good listing with your friend because you know you've done your due diligence, you've done your research, you've interviewed another realtor, and you feel that there isn't this difference in what we can do or in what we charge, and you move on with your friend. But listing your home with someone you know is not the best reason to pick that person. Sometimes I would use analogy. if you were really sick, would you want to go to just a doctor you know, or would you want to have the very best doctor? Someone you didn't know, but they were the very best doctor. Of course you would want the very best doctor. Well, your home is your biggest asset, right? So we don't want to get into this conversation unless we have to. So let's try this again from the very top, and let's see how you do with it. Okay, so you ask me, do I have a realtor to help me when the time is right? And I say, well, I have a friend that I may list with.
I see. And are you 100% committed to your friend as a realtor?
Well, you know, it's the only guy we know. We know him. We're kind of friends with him. So I would think we would probably go with him. Now, I didn't answer your question. Notice I didn't say I'm 100% committed. If they say, yes, I'm 100% committed, you should probably give up. But most of them do not. And you've got to be clear on this. Most of them waffle on that question. You know, it's like when you ask your kids when they're little, did you eat the cake? Did you eat those cookies? Well, you know, look, when you ask them the question, are you 100% committed, most of them will waffle and say, well, it's someone I know or someone I work with or whatever, but that's not an answer to the question. They didn't answer the question. So I waffle and I say, well, I don't know. I know the guy. I don't know if I'm 100% committed, but, you know, we're kind of friends, and it's the only guy I know in real estate. Now what?
Well, would you be open to see what I do differently than other realtor?
Well, almost. You want to state a fact. Before we talk about you, you're back into what I would do, state the fact. The fact is there is a tremendous difference between real estate agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done. That's a fact. Do you think you'd be open to meeting with me as well? And I say, maybe I say, well, no, you know what, I think I'll just go with my friend. That's when you're going to say, well, look, if you list with your friend, you're always going to be wondering if somebody else could have done a better job for less money. Why don't you meet with me? And if after meeting with me, you're not 100% convinced that I can do a better job for you, then by all means list with your friend. And you can go forward with your friend knowing that you've done your due diligence and feel good about that. But wouldn't it be a horrible feeling not to do this research and just to list with somebody because you know them, and then you don't get good results, or you're wondering all the way through that transaction if somebody could have done a better job than your friend? So I'm not here to say don't use your friend. I'm just suggesting, whether it's me or another realtor, that you should get a second opinion before you just list with somebody because you know them. All right, that's reasonable. It makes sense. All right, so can you do that?
Yes.
Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on, and we'll do another role play. Thank you very much for that, and back to Andrea.
We have Ellen Levy with her hand raised. Your line is open.
Good morning, Ellen.
Ellen,
Hi, Ellen.
Go ahead.
Hi, Ellen.
No, Ellen.
Okay. Well, I know Ellen typed something in the chat. Would you like to read that, Craig, or would you like to move on to some?
Why don't you read it? 'Cause
Okay,
I'm kind of lazy today. I like to be read, too.
That's what I'm here for. So Ellen typed in, I have a potential appointment this afternoon with a prospect who found me on homes.com. I have communicated with her online and had a lengthy conversation. She has also gone to my lender and been pre-qualified. While I was at the Toronto conference, she visited an open house and has contacted me to write the offer. I do not yet have a signed buyer agency agreement. How do you suggest that I proceed at this point?
Well, you've got to meet with her to get the offer signed. So at that time, you're going to get the buyer agent's agreement signed. Okay. So, and obviously you can talk about, like, I want to be able to legally represent you, and I can't legally represent you unless I'm working for you. If I'm not working for you, I'm working for the seller. So that should be very easy. Ironically, you might be thinking, well, by the time you've got the buyer to the point where they want to sign an offer, you don't even need a buyer agency agreement signed, right? Many of you think that way. However, here's what we know what will happen. If the offer gets accepted, you're a hero and you'll get paid. But what if the offer doesn't get accepted? Do you notice how sometimes the buyers will turn on you? Not that it's your fault, has nothing to do with you, but they make a full price offer, another offer comes in for even more money, the buyer gets beaten out, and somehow, some way, they think it's your fault. And the relationship sours. Well, you'd be really glad that you've got that buyer agency agreement signed, because if it wasn't signed, they'll probably just move on and work with someone else. So ideally, though, Ellen, you want to get the buyer agency agreement signed before you start showing them homes. At the onset of the relationship, that's when we really want to get the buyer agency agreement signed, but it's never too late. Okay, so when you meet with this buyer and you're ready to sign the offer to purchase and sale, you better get a buyer agency agreement signed just in case this offer doesn't get accepted. Because we've all experienced that before. Everything is going great with the buyer. You're working with them for weeks or months, but then they lose out in the house that they want, and the relationship's never the same. And if they're not locked into you, they could just fly the coop and go work with somebody else. Next.
Craig,
Yes. Oh, hello.
Hi. My speaker it wasn't connected, and I have connected it.
No
so
problem.
Here's the thing.
Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning. We do not work with buyers unless we have a signed agreement, period. We just don't do that. So that is not even a question. She said she's available at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm trying to find out whether that means she's available to talk. She's a very busy woman, or whether she can actually meet. And I'm trying to figure out whether I should try to insist on getting a buyer agency agreement signed before I go and sit down with her, which is not what I'm inclined to do, or see if I have not yet discussed with her the terms of the potential offer that she has in mind, and I'm trying to figure out whether I should go there with my whole sheaf of papers.
Okay. Well, let me try to understand this. So on one hand, you say that all your buyers are immediately signed up to a buyer agency agreement.
Yes.
So how did this lady slip through? How come she's not signed up to one?
Because we have spoken on the phone, we have had a conference online, and then I left for Toronto. So
the first step, Ellen, is she needs to come and meet with you, and you get her signed up to a buyer agency agreement. We shouldn't be talking about offers or here's the parallel, okay? So let's say it's not a buyer, it's a seller, and they say, Ellen, I want you to meet me in downtown Toronto at my office, and I want you to start advertising my home, but they haven't signed a listing agreement with you. You wouldn't do anything for that seller until they've met with you and you've agreed to the terms and a listing agreement signed.
True.
Okay, so what are you going to do for this buyer who's not a client, they're just a prospect?
What I was thinking of doing is bringing my buyer agency paperwork and the offer paperwork with me to a meeting with her.
Okay, the conversation starts with the buyer agency agreement, and you can be very clear on this, that if you want me to represent you, then I have to represent you. And you can go through the buyer, all the benefits of the VIP buyer presentation. But I think you would agree, if she won't sign that, there's a very good chance that the offer that she's going to make with you will not get accepted. The relationship sours. The buyer blames you, even though it had no fault on your part. So we have to protect ourselves. Otherwise, like putting an offer together and presenting it and having it not come together is a huge waste of time, and arguably is as big a waste of time as running out and showing people houses they're not going to buy.
I totally agree. Also, in Maryland, it's illegal. You can't write the offer unless you have representation.
Well, then it's really easy for you. You see, in Toronto, that's not the case. It's not illegal. It's just unadvised. But yeah, well, then it's easy. You have to just hide behind the law. So you see, in Toronto, here's what they can do. The buyer could say, well, look at, if you won't present the offer without a buyer agency agreement signed, I'll just use another agent in Toronto. In Maryland, that's not the case. Any realtor that presents that offer would insist that the buyer agency agreement is signed. It's the law. So this should be very easy for you to get that signed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good stuff. Let's see who's next.
Okay, hold on one moment while I clear out my queue. We have Marco Velasquez. Your telephone line is open.
Hi, Craig. Good morning.
Marco, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from sunny Southern California.
Excellent. What's the weather there today?
It is hot.
Nice.
It's 100 plus degrees out here.
Excellent. Okay, what's on your mind this morning?
I'd like to do the buyer script.
Okay. Now, do you want me to be a nice buyer, a middle-of-the-road buyer, a miserable buyer?
You surprise me.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to be kind of a grumpy buyer.
All right.
Because you seem like you're a nice guy, so let's see how you handle kind of a grumpy buyer. We've all had grumpy buyers. Now, remember, just because I'm grumpy doesn't make me a bad buyer. It's just my nature. So you're calling me ring, ring, and I say, hello?
Hello, hi. Is Craig Proctor in?
Who's asking?
This is Marco with REMAX, and the reason I'm calling is I received your request for the list of the Ontario foreclosures, and I wanted to get that out to you. Is that okay?
Is that thing I responded to? Look, I didn't know that a real estate agent would be calling me.
Yeah. Are you folks planning on making a move in the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, I don't know. I didn't say that.
Okay. Now, do you currently rent or do you own your own home?
We own.
Okay. And would you prefer to buy before listing your home, or do you want to sell first?
I want to buy a bigger house.
Okay, so you want to buy first. Now, are you planning on staying in the area, or are you moving out of the area?
I didn't answer your question, did I? You said, do I want to buy first or sell first? And I say, I want to buy a bigger home. That was not an answer to your question.
Okay.
See, this is how grumpy people do it, right?
They throw you curveballs.
Right. Well, you ask a question, and what's not helpful is when they don't answer the question. So you didn't learn anything from that. You said, right. Craig, do you want to buy first or sell first? And I'm a gruff buyer. I'm a grumpy guy. I go, I want to buy a bigger home. That's not an answer. I didn't answer your question. You don't know whether I want to buy first or sell first. So now what do you do?
So I go back to that same question. So
well, I would say this. So Craig, you want to buy a bigger home. Now, do you want to buy that bigger home before you put your current home up for sale? Would you rather sell your current home before you go out and buy a home? You need to have the answer to the question if possible. All right. So I say, well, I don't know. I guess I think it's easy to sell my house. I've got the best house in the neighborhood, so it's going to sell. I might even try to sell it myself. I think it's easy. You guys make a lot of money for, they sell in a day or a week, so I'll just probably sell that myself.
Okay, so you're looking to definitely buy before listing your home then? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably just look on I can just find the home myself, right, on the internet.
Right. Are you planning on staying in the area, or are you moving out of the area?
You said right. Why are you going to agree with that? Don't agree.
Okay.
Right? Basically, I can just find the home on the internet, myself. You went right.
Okay.
In other words, I don't need an agent, right?
Right. So don't respond in that.
Well, don't
way.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
What if I said all real estate agents are horrible? Would you say right?
No, I wouldn't say that. No.
Yeah. You don't have to disagree, but certainly don't agree. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to look around out there. I mean, you can just find all the homes on the internet. What am I really saying? I'm saying I don't need any help from you.
Right.
Just all on the internet, right?
Right.
Okay. Now what?
Okay, and the way I would approach it is I'd kind of continue to figure out where they're doing and when they're planning.
I'll do it. Keep with the script.
Okay, so are you planning on staying in the area or moving out of the area?
No, I want to stay right here in the area.
Okay, and
something bigger.
It's something bigger. You're trying to find something bigger. If you were to move and get that bigger property, when do you think that might be?
Well, I'm going to do something before we get to Christmas here, sometime over the early fall or late fall.
Okay, so we're right here at the end of August, so you're looking...
September, October is what I'm shooting for.
Okay, September, October.
There's a couple I've seen online I'm interested in.
Okay, and now if you did find the perfect property, would you still have to wait till September, October, or is it something that you can jump on right now?
Well, I can do it anytime I want. I don't even need to sell my house.
Okay, so it's something that if you did find that perfect property...
I'm a cash buyer. I'll just buy it, and I could even hang on to my house and rent it for a bit if I had to.
Okay. Now, you kind of mentioned that you were good doing this on your own, so would I assume that you don't have a realtor to help you when the time is right?
Well, I go to Realtor.com. That's where all the houses are, right?
Well, that's one area you can find them.
Ah, good. I was waiting for you to agree. I was waiting for you to say right. I was trying to suck you in. Okay. Okay. Well, what do you mean one of the areas? Well, where's the other areas? I don't want to miss out on anything. What are the other areas?
Okay.
I thought all the homes were on Realtor.com.
No, they're definitely not just on Realtor.com.
Okay,
Would you like me to?
Marco, this is your chance. I'm begging you to differentiate yourself and create massive doubt in my mind.
Okay, perfect. That's what I'm about set to do.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So now this is your chance. I am saying I thought all the homes were on Realtor.com. Educate me.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. They're not all on Realtor.com. What we do is we have a list of properties that are bank-owned, foreclosures, fixer-uppers, distress sales, all of our RE/MAX exclusive properties, brand new listings, the hard-to-find deals that are just not on the internet, properties that we have within our office that haven't even been listed yet, and those are the properties that we have on our list. So
okay,
it's
now
definitely...
that was very, very good, because what you're leveraging off of now is every buyer's fear that they're missing out on some of the properties. That's the biggest fear that buyers have, right? We know buyers want houses, and the biggest fear they have is they're not getting access to all of them, that some of them are slipping through the cracks. Now watch this. I was a really grumpy guy and borderline rude, right? But as soon as you offer me something that interests me, watch how nice I become to you. Oh, really? Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I want all the good deals. So now because you have something I want, even though I was borderline rude, watch how nice I start to become to you. Yes, Marco was your name, right? Okay, yeah, send me all those good deals. I want a really good deal. As I said, I can make a cash offer. I don't even need to sell my house, so I'm looking for a good deal. And then if you can send me the list, then I can just call the listing agents and, you know, save money and deal directly with them.
Well, what I like to do is like to send you an email, daily updates of all these homes, but I want them to match your criteria.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this price range to that price range, 4-bedroom, this square footage, over on the northeast part of town. So send me those ones.
Well, instead of me sending you hundreds of properties that don't match your criteria, what I do is I have a list of 30 criteria that I use. Would you want a property that has aluminum wiring?
No, of course not.
Okay, so it'd be a list like that where we kind of go through, take out all the things that you don't want in a property. I don't want to risk you missing out on that perfect one by stumbling over 100 other properties that you're looking at that don't fit that criteria. It's free.
Well, you could say this first. You could say, you know, rather than me sending you hundreds of properties that don't even match what you're looking for, or even worse, missing out on the perfect one, once I have a perfect understanding of what you're looking for, I'll send you only the homes that are a perfect match. When's a good time for us to get together? And I'm going to say, well, let's just do it over the telephone. Why do we need to meet?
Right. Okay.
And you know the answer to that, right? The answer is what?
Well, instead of meeting over the phone, I'd like to sit with you.
But why? Why? Forget. You're talking about what you like. See, this is what we got to stop doing. What I like. Do you think the prospect is worried about what you like or what you want? We can't lead our conversation about, well, what I want, what I like, what would be good for me, is that you drive 10 miles across town and come to my office when it's convenient to me. That's what Marco wants.
Right.
You can't lead with what you want.
Okay.
By meeting with me, would you be able to do a better job or a worse job?
A better job.
Okay, well, that's the truth, right? All of us realtors on the line would agree that if the buyer would just come and have a consultation with us, even a 15-minute consultation at the onset of the process, we all agree as professional realtors we could do a much better job for that buyer. So why don't we tell them the truth? When I say, why can't we just do it over the phone, you should respond with, because, Craig, I want to do a good job for you.
Right.
If we can get together for about 15 minutes, we can actually have a discussion. Buying a home is serious business, right?
Right.
Remember what I said a couple weeks ago? People will take time off work to go get their teeth cleaned. It's an excuse the buyers are giving you when they're saying, well, can we do it over the phone? I'm too busy. Okay, so you're too busy to come in and talk to me about buying a $2 million home. But tomorrow, you'll take time off work to go get your teeth cleaned? Does that sound right?
Right. They would rather do something that they hate to do.
Yes, it's an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start from the top. So let's just do this over the phone. I'll tell you what I'm looking for, Marco. You can write it down, and then you can send me a bunch of homes, and then I'll just call the other agents and forget about you. How about that?
Craig, I really want to do a good job for you, and instead of me sending you 100 properties that don't match your criteria, I want to get your exact home so you don't risk missing out on that perfect one. I have a list of 30 criteria that I go over, and I get this property so I get only the perfect properties to you. Is that something that would interest you?
Yeah. You could even add in this. And when we get together, Craig, you'll have a chance to meet me and see if I'm even the kind of realtor you'd like to work with. Can't do that over the phone, right?
Right.
You're giving him an out. You're giving him an out like that he can come, that I can come, meet with you. I don't like Marco, and that's the end of it. We shake hands and I leave.
Right.
You might even, James McDonald likes to say this, there's no cost or obligation. You haven't leaned on that. Don't bring your checkbook.
Right.
Right? Their biggest fear is, well, it's going to cost, meeting with a salesperson. This Marco sounds pretty slick. He's probably going to, take my credit cards when I get there. He's probably going to make me do something I don't want to do. So you have to disarm them.
Right.
Right? What are we saying here? See if I'm the guy, even the kind of guy you'd like to work with. So if I don't like you, there's one out. You're telling me there's no cost or obligation. I don't have to do anything. Don't bring my checkbook. All these things are helpful. All right, so I finally say, okay, all right, Marco, all right, I'll meet with you. But my wife should probably be there too, right? Now, I don't know what she's got going on this week. So I got your contact info, Marco. I'll talk to my wife tonight, and I'll call you later this week, and we'll book a time.
Okay. Now, what works best for you and your wife together?
Yeah, you just agreed with me again. You said okay.
Okay.
Stop agreeing with me. Every time I say something I know you don't want me to do, you keep saying right or okay. It's a habit, right?
Right.
And that's what telemarketers do. You don't want to sound like a telemarketer. If you've ever had a telemarketer call you, right? We're calling about new windows. Well, I just had new windows installed 2 weeks ago. Right. Or great. They'll say great. Well, why would that be great? You're trying to sell me windows, and I'm telling you I just had them installed. That's what telemarketers do. Great, wonderful, fantastic.
Right. So I need to maybe not throw that in there.
Look, I was listening to one of our members years ago make calls. Okay, and in the script, one of the questions is, are you going to be buying? Do you own or are you renting? And the guy says he owns. And well, if you were to move, when would you be making a move? And the guy says, look, he was an older guy. He says, I am not moving from this house until they carry me out of the house in a wooden box. So our member follows the script and says, great, when do you think that might be? Okay? So, we have to be smart about this. Not everything is great. When do you think that might be? Perfect, fantastic. So that's a habit you got to break, because there's been a lot of things that I've said to you today that you don't want to hear. Yet you welcome it with right, fantastic, great. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
What's your personality type?
I'm a high D.
You're a high D.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have thought high I. Because
yeah,
high I's are, you want to be friendly. You must have a lot of I.
You know what? I think it's my second number, but I have a disproportionate amount of high D.
Okay, that means you don't want to waste your time, right?
Right.
Okay. So
I think maybe that might be the thing where I'm kind of just, let's kind of get you on board or get you out the door, kind of.
Well, you're not helping yourself if you agree with my objections.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So so now you've got me all the way to this point where I finally reluctantly say yes, I'll meet with you, but we got a problem. Now I'm saying, well, There's no use me meeting you without my wife. You know, she's going to have a say in this, and I'm going to go talk to my wife tonight, and I'm going to call you back. And you're like, yeah, great. No, that's not great. That sucks.
Right.
So don't agree that that's how it's going to go. Come up with a better solution. What's the better plan than you know what's going to happen? Oh yeah, don't worry, Marco. I'll call you. Don't call me. I'll talk to my wife and I'll call you in a few days. You know that's not going to happen.
Right, definitely.
Okay, so what's the plan?
Okay, well, what's better for you guys, days or evenings?
No. The solution is this. You say, Craig, why don't we set up a tentative time? It's really important that your wife is there. But since we're both busy and you know your wife's not home right now, why don't we just shoot for a tentative time for later this week? And once you speak to your wife, if that time doesn't work, just give me a call back and change it. You'd rather have an appointment set up, and if you don't hear from them, you're showing up at that time. But the onus is on them if that time's no good to at least call you back. But when they call you back, guess what? You can switch the time. Right now you have nothing. Right now it's a promise that maybe they'll call you back. You don't want to leave it that way.
Right.
Okay, so let me hear your yeah, I got to talk to my wife, and hey, no worries, Marco. I'll call you.
Okay, well, what we could do is set a tentative time.
Okay, but why? Why are we setting the tentative time? Why is this a good idea?
Are you asking me as
No, well, I'm just asking you as a person. Why is this a benefit to the prospect? Why don't you say the obvious? We're both on the phone right now. We're busy people. Your wife's not there. I got a better solution. Why don't we at least set up a tentative time? Let's take a stab at this anyway. We'll set an appointment up for tomorrow night, let's say 7 or 8 o'clock. And if for whatever reason that doesn't work when you speak to your wife, then and only then give me a call back and we can change it. But if I don't hear from you, I'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. How does that sound? Having a tentative appointment is way better than no appointment. If we do it his way, well, you'll be waiting a long time sometimes to get those phone calls. You've been doing this long enough, Marco, to know that when someone says, hey, Marco, no worries, I'll call you in a couple days when we're ready.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't, and it's fresh in their mind, and it's going to happen. And it's going to take them. It's harder for them to cancel that appointment than to.
Trust me, you've got it set up, and most of the time, you'll show up and everything will be good. But if this guy talks to his wife and it's going to be a problem, they're going to call you, because if they don't, you're showing up at tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So they're going to call you. Otherwise, knock, knock, knock on the door tomorrow at 7 o'clock. But when they call you, what have you got an opportunity to do? Well, 7 doesn't work tomorrow, so let's do Saturday morning.
Right,
okay?
or even shore up
this is the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
So, Marco, you've got the right idea. You know this. You just got to fine-tune it a little bit. And stop agreeing with them.
Right. Okay.
Okay, man?
Yeah, I gotta work on that strategy.
Okay, so that was I was the grumpy buyer. I'm sure everyone you talk to today will be friendlier than me.
All right, thanks a lot, Craig.
All right, thanks, Marco.
Okay.
All right, wonderful, Andrea. Let's see who's next.
Well, we have a few chat questions I thought we could take. One from Chris. Okay. Where can I find home search criteria form on the website dashboard that I complete when I'm at the buyer, seller, prospect's home?
Well, all you do is you take the template that's on your MLS. Like, I can't create a form that's going to interface with all your different MLSs. So I don't know what fields are available on your MLS, but you're going to basically take all the fields on your MLS, and that's going to be put on a piece of paper. So, for example, they might not have a field that says aluminum wiring, yes or no. I know in Toronto, formaldehyde insulation. Okay, so here are your choices. No formaldehyde insulation, or yes formaldehyde insulation, or R, removed. There was, and it was removed. Not everyone's MLS will have that field. So people ask me if I have like one universal form that buyers will fill out. And no, because there is no standardization on MLS. You've got to look at the fields available to you on MLS, and that's what you're going to be able to search under. You're enslaved by that criteria on your MLS. Next question.
Okay, and to confirm on a follow-up on what we're talking about, Chris says he's asking about the form that you reference in the callback script. Is that what you're speaking of?
That's what yep, that's what it is. So what I did is I looked at all the fields in MLS, and you don't have to have them all, but all the important fields that you want to have. Remember, this is your buyer program. You design that piece of paper. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'd sit down and go, now, Andrea, how do you feel about aluminum wiring? How do you feel about living on a corner lot? You know, some of the questions I made up myself. They're not on MLS. Andrea, you might say, I would never want to live on a corner lot. We had a house in the corner lot, and I didn't like it. I had no backyard. Okay, no corner lot for Andrea. Okay, don't want a house with aluminum wiring. I don't care though if it used to have formaldehyde insulation. It's been removed and it's certified. I'm okay with that. Next question.
Okay, we have a question. One of the leads I received was for a home evaluation and is already newly listed. Am I obligated to send an evaluation?
If you said you were going to send it, they request it, you said you want to send it, I would send it anyway. What's the worst thing that could happen? Maybe it expires with the existing agent and they call you.
Okay. Alexandra says she has a question about the realtor and grumpy buyer role play. Why is it wrong to acknowledge a point of view? She goes on to say, everyone has a point of view, and I think it's easier to change once you acknowledge that, yes, I can see your point.
Well, if I'm trying to take them down one road and they want to go down another road, I'm not going to agree with a point that I'm not in agreement to. Like, I think it is good to have dialogue, but why would I in any debate agree to items that I don't agree to? How is that going to help me get the buyer or seller going in my direction? I don't know, maybe I'm missing the point there. So Alexandra, if you have a working microphone, why don't we get you on the air here? Press a button. We'll talk about this.
We do have Alexandra's line open. Okay. Go ahead. Alexandra, say hello. Your line is open.
Hello. Hello.
Alexandra, how are you doing, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Okay. So, yes, people have different points of view. But in this example, you know, the prospect saying things like, well, I can just see all the homes on Realtor.com.
Okay.
And
well,
Marco said, right.
Well, you know, what I think about it is that it's his point of view. He doesn't know anything else, and it's true. There are a lot of homes on Realtor.com. So I think Marco was just acknowledging that, yes, you can find homes on Realtor.com.
Yeah,
that's
but
true.
He didn't say that. He said right, and that was the end of it.
Okay.
What you're saying is you could let the prospect off graciously off the hook by saying, I can see, Mr. Prospect, how you would feel that way,
okay,
that all the homes are on Realtor.com. But the truth is, I have access to many homes that aren't on MLS.com. In fact, some of the homes on MLS that you're looking at are already sold, and some of the newest listings are not even on MLS. So we also have lists of these great deals that you're not accessing right now, and then you give your examples of these great deals. Alexandra, okay, would you be interested in getting information on those homes as well?
Yes. So now yeah, okay, that was my point, that I thought that it wasn't that he wasn't, Marco was not agreeing, or he was agreeing. To me, he was acknowledging that, yes, I can see your point of view, but here's another one. Maybe,
yeah, well,
you can consider
maybe
that.
He did. I didn't hear it that way.
No.
And I'm certainly not suggesting that we should, we should be in conflict with the prospects. I think what you're suggesting is you acknowledge, I understand how you would feel that way. However, have you considered this? That
Yeah.
all the homes, especially the best deals, you're not going to be able to access doing it the way you're currently doing it.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And every one of you are going to have your own style. And
Okay.
sometimes, Alexandra, as you know, your style is going to change depending on the type of prospect you're working with.
That's true.
Right? So even though it's the same words, if you were talking to a high D personality, your style may slightly change versus if you were dealing with one of the other personalities.
Yes.
Okay,
I agree.
so and this is where you're all going to get better at this. But the point I was making to Marco is, since we know where we're trying to lead the buyer, we're trying to lead the buyer down this road of, look, you do need us. You can't just find all the best deals on your own. There is a difference in real estate agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done. So when they say the opposite of that kind of where we're trying to take them, I don't think we want to just agree with them. I mean, that's our opportunity to confront what they believe, their perception, and add our dose of reality. So I think we're saying the same thing. All right, Andrea, what do you want to do now?
Okay, well, I thought we could go ahead and take a few more chat questions. Bridget, just
where's James McDonald? What happened to him?
I'm right here.
James, did you go back to bed?
I am right here.
Okay, well, let's have James do the next one because...
well, we've got chat questions here, so shoot, Andrea.
Okay. Yeah. We have Bridget, and she's needing a little clarification. She's heard a few different ways to do it, and she'd like to know, do I email or mail the information, and how long should it take to do the CMA?
Well, look, Bridget, it really depends on how they've come to you. If it's a hotline lead, they went in and left a message on your hotline, you're going to have a very difficult time emailing them because you don't know their email address. If they visited one of your landing pages, then of course you've got their email address. So I would recommend that you do it that way. Any hotline leads, you're going to mail it out. Any leads that come in by email through your landing pages, you're going to email it out.
Okay, we have Naziris asking, what do you say to a seller, expired mailer, who says she does not want to list her home, but if they have a serious buyer, to bring them?
I would say this. I would say, you know, in my self-interest, that would be really great for me because that means I can hog your listing. That means that I would get both sides of the commission. I get 100% of the commission, but it might not be what's best for you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, because what if there's a buyer out there that's working with one of the other 40,000 agents in Toronto where their buyer might pay more for your home than my buyer would pay? Wouldn't you want to sell your home for the most amount of money by exposing your home to the most number of buyers? So I would recommend, since you want to get it sold for the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time, that we get your home on MLS, and then you'll have the benefit of both me trying to sell your home to the hundreds of buyers in my database, but just in case another realtor in Toronto has a buyer that would pay more than one of my buyers, you're going to have the benefit of all those agents and those buyers as well. So we can get you the best possible result. How does that sound?
Okay, Jeff Kim has an audio question. Your line is now open.
Thanks, Andrea. Hi, Craig. I had a quick question for you regarding Z-Buyer.
Yes.
With the seller leads, sometimes they're FSBO, and you don't really know if they are FSBO. So in the entrance to the call script, when you say the reason why I'm calling is, like, I don't know what to say at that point. I want to know if you or any other coaching.
Well, hang on. What did they request from you?
So from Z-Buyer for the seller leads, they don't necessarily tell you if it's the leads that they're getting are FSBO. Some of them are like people who go on there looking possibly to sell their
Well,
homes.
how is it a lead? How did they get the lead? What did the prospect do? So ZBuyer says, hey, here's a lead.
That's why I'm having issues understanding as well, because if they go onto their direct like landing pages, then they put in the information. But a lot of the calls that I'm making, like when I have an introduction, they're like, "Oh, how did you get this information? Like I didn't request anything." So I think they're just pulling some like FSBOs from some resource, and I just don't know how to combat that or like do that intro. So I wanted to see if anyone else who has dealt with ZBuyer on seller leads has like a
I know with bold leads, it's with bold leads, it's easy. You responded to our bold leads online evaluation, and the reason I'm contacting you is to get you the information on recent home sales and current listings. And I wondered if you folks were planning on making a move. So we need clarification from ZBuyer. What did these prospects respond to, so you can use that in your introduction? Failing that, then you have to say this. Hi, this is Craig Proctor with ABC Realty. The reason I'm calling is because I received, your list from ZBuyer, your name, your information from ZBuyer, and I'm calling and I'm wondering if you folks have any moving plans. Okay, in fact, Edgar here is saying I can help with ZBuyer. All right, well,
okay.
Why don't we switch over and let's see if we can get Edgar on here and he can maybe answer this question and help us out.
Edgar, what I'm doing right now is I see you're on the telephone. Oh, good. Thank you for entering your PIN code. Edgar, you're open.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Edgar, how you doing? Hey, Andrew, I got a question. Are you able to have Edgar and another one of our members on at the same time, or you can only do one at a time?
I can have as many at one time. Right now we have Jeff's line open and Edgar's line open.
That is cool. I didn't know that. Okay, so Jeff, say hi to Edgar.
Hey, Edgar. Thanks for your help.
Hey, how's it going, Jeff?
All right,
Good.
Edgar. So what's the answer? Jeff, you heard Jeff's question. He wants to know, like, ZBuyer leads. What do I say to
Well, just so you know, Jeff, for ZBuyer, what they're requesting is We Buy Houses information on their property, and what a We Buy Houses is mostly a motivated seller. So they're in distress because maybe for some reason they want to sell because they're moving, they're divorcing, or whatever it is that they're selling is because of that reason alone.
Okay, so what exactly does the ad say?
We Buy Houses, and they get information from, whatever they're pulling the resources from, but it says We Buy Houses.
Okay, so if you want to run a similar ad, by the way, guys, yourself, and you don't have to buy the leads from ZBuyer, you could run an ad. This is one that I ran. And it worked really well. It's a guaranteed cash offer for your home in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to know where I got that ad? I'm in Las Vegas, and I'm looking in the phone book under real estate. And there's all kinds of ads that say, cash offer for your home in 24 hours because people go there and lose all their money and they need cash right away. So speaking of that, my buddy Richard Moss is on here from Las Vegas. Let's get Richard on here as well. See, now that I know we can have a party on here, I can have 3 or 4 of us on.
Okay,
That's
Richard.
awesome.
Richard, your line is open. Richard?
Richard, I see you there. I know you're there. Maybe he doesn't have a mic.
Possibly. Richard, say hello. If you're saying hello, just type in the chat box so we know we cannot hear you.
Richard, let us know you're live. Hello, Richard, do you have a mic?
Richard, I have apparently have a double Richards on, so I've opened up a second Richard Moss.
Try this.
Okay, that
Richard
one worked.
Moss, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good, good. Hey, you see lots of ads like that in Las Vegas, don't you? Cash offer for your home.
I do.
Yeah.
They're all over the place now.
They're all over the place. Okay, so do you have some insights on ZBuyer?
Yeah, ZBuyer was good for a while, but like I typed in the chat bar, for the last 4 days, I've only received 1 lead, and it was not even accurate information. So I don't know if they're having problems or resetting what they're doing, but I've contacted them a few times, and they sent me an apologetic letter, but no results.
Okay, Richard, shoot Lester an email, because he kind of works closely with those guys, and let them know what's going on, because
Okay.
I think they're coming to the conference, and let's find out what's going on. But that's we clearly want to know what ads is ZBuyer running, because if you're generating these leads, well, where are they coming from? So when we introduce ourselves, we can speak intelligently to the prospect rather than just saying, yeah, I got your name from this place called ZBuyer, and they don't know who ZBuyer is.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be no better than saying, yeah, I got your name from James McDonald.
Well, Craig, can I interrupt you really quick?
Yeah.
What I'm doing, because I'm the same thing is happening with us as Richard, is that we, you know, when we first started, we were getting a lot of leads from ZBuyer, and now all of a sudden they're just coming in once or twice a day.
Okay.
So what I went back into the database and looked back into the leads that registered a year or 2 years from now, or whenever ZBuyer first started, and started inputting those leads into the database. And, you know, I'm getting a few results because nobody's following up on those leads, and just nurturing them as I go along as well.
Okay, so Richard Moss is going to shoot an email to Lester. Let's find out what's going on with the ZBuyer leads and why they're sort of falling off the trailing off. There's something going on then. If you got lots of them and now you're not, we better look into that. And we'll try to get some more information on exactly what the ads say, so you know you don't look like an idiot when you're following up a prospect saying, yeah, it's a ZBuyer lead. You know, as Ernest has just typed in, they never know anything about ZBuyer. When you say I'm calling it a ZBuyer lead, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's different. Like normally, we're able to follow up with a prospect and say, hey, you responded to my ad on Facebook for an online evaluation or whatever.
Hey, Craig.
Yep.
It's Richard again. You know, the leads were good, and I wonder if they're just relaunching their ads in Las Vegas. One thing that ZBuyer did for us, you jump on those really quickly because they put it out to several agents. So it was actually nice, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to make follow-up calls, and the follow-up calls kind of are put off from time to time. It's like a race on ZBuyer, and so I think it was actually therapeutic to our business.
Right, got everyone in the habit of there's no shelf life. You got to call these as soon as you get them.
Right, and they were good. I've made money off of it.
Well, look, that's when I talk to our top members, when I talk to the platinum members, the titanium members, the guys making $1 million, $2 million in GCI and more. Most of our top members are involved with a number of lead generators. Like they've got a number of IDXs, right? They'll use, they use the Success websites. They use their HDX. They'll use Commissions Inc. They're using Boomtown, Bold Leads, ZBuyer. And when I ask them, I say, why do you use all these different lead generators? Their answer is a good one, right? They say, well, Craig, because every one of those lead generators that I just mentioned makes me far more money than what I invest in them. It's a good answer, right? So we should be doing everything that makes us way more money than the initial investment. But that means you need to understand how to track, because we can only make good decisions about return on investment if we actually know the return on investment. So we got to get serious about tracking. But many of you, as you progress with my program, you're going to be using a number of lead generators, because as your business grows, you're going to want more leads and more leads and more leads. And your marketing should be a layered approach. You know, it's funny. I did the super conference in Toronto last weekend, and for the first time I handed out this survey to all of the brand new attendees there. And one of the questions was, if you could ask Craig Proctor, if you're alone with Craig Proctor, and you could ask him one question, what would that one question be? And a lot of people were asking this question. Well, Craig, if there's one thing that I could do in my real estate business to do really, really well, what would that one thing be? And that's really a bad way of looking at things, because the truth is there is no one thing. You know, a lot of trainers and gurus, they want you to believe that. They try to sell you that there's some magic pill, that there's this one magical thing that they're going to show you that's going to make you a millionaire, and it's not true. Okay? When I hear realtors ask me that question, Craig, if there's one thing I can do to be really successful, what's that one thing? What they're really looking for is, you know, looking for a simple answer. One simple answer to really what is a complicated process. So the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth, there is no one thing. There's many, many things, and you're all going through the process of evaluating them. Right? So there's many different lead generators, but there's one universal callback script. Okay, so we're going to continue to experiment with all the different ways to drive traffic to you, but every Thursday, we're going to keep going through this one script. There's one process that we have. And you can meet people at an open house. You're still going to use the script. Could be a referral. You're still going to use the script. Could be bold leads, ZBuyer, Success Website, Commissions Inc., Boomtown. It doesn't matter where the lead comes from. Once we have the lead, then the process is the same. Anyway, folks, we better wrap it up for today. I want to thank everybody for being with us. Big thanks to James McDonald, to Andrea, and to everyone that contributed. Now remember, tomorrow is our ad clinic. This is your chance to submit your ads. Hope you all do. And we'll pick out as many as we can, help you become better marketers. Even send us ads that are working well. We'll see if we can plus them, make them work even better. So go sell some houses, and we'll talk to everybody tomorrow on the Ad Marketing Clinic. Take care.